Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and today is a beautiful day and we are going to do a lot of gardening things like watering our garden. We need to prune our tomatoes and we are going to harvest some of the things today. Join us on our day in our homesteading and see what we can do today. And this Wolfie, are you gonna help garden? Here's Wolfie's helping gardening. He's the best helper, Wolfie. And his favorite is broccoli, so we have to guard it so Wolfie doesn't steal any broccoli. Yes, hi Wolfie. Wolfie, what are you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Are you gonna water the plants? Wolfie, are you gonna water the plants? Yes. We're going to water our broccolis today. And like I said, it's a very hot day, so in those days I usually make sure I water them very well. And during the day you might see their leaves are drooping, but that's okay. That just means it's really hot, and as long as you water them in the morning, usually in the afternoon or at nighttime, the leaves perk up back, and that means your plants have enough water to grow. We also have our first 2 heads of broccolis forming. And it's June 14th and we already got plenty of broccoli starting to form, so that's awesome. That means in a few weeks we might be harvesting our first broccoli. So if you have something you harvest from the garden, let me know in the comments below so we can share what is some things grown in our gardens. For me, I already got some radishes and salads and of course lots of herbs. And if you see in any of my videos on preserving herbs, you know that I love saving all the extra herbs that I can use right away and dry them for the winter. So for my teas, I like using mint leaves and chamomile flowers. And because of that, I planted lots of chamomile. So where I stand, all that is chamomiles and bachelor buttons. And I can't wait to see all the flowers it will bring and see if it will survive the kids and the dogs. So far it's been doing great, even though they step on it and put their toys. I have a bunch of toys in my feet there. They love to call it their jungle. However, they're still alive and they're doing great, so I can't wait to see that. And that's why we're going to water all of this here as well, to make sure that it gets plenty of water. And then we're going to move on to our salads, peppers, and all the other things that grow in our next garden bed. And here I have my lavender. So I planted lots of lavender this year, and I'm going to do a separate video on that, how I collect and preserve my lavender. And lavender, one was my favorite plants to grow, or flowers, because you can use it in cooking and beauty and making like fresheners for your house, and it does amazing, and it's so easy to grow and so easy to preserve. Now let's see how our salads and peppers and eggplants are doing. We are starting to get a lot of very hot, warm days where we are, and it's great for sunflowers and tomatoes and other plants. However, salads don't really like too much sun. That means it just gives them a signal that it's time to make seeds. So they start bolting and pretty much producing seeds. So I have to figure it out how to cover it during the very hot hours and try to slow down that bolting, because 4 of my salads are starting to just really turn into flowers, and means that they're going to get bitter and I won't be able to really use it a lot in cooking or eating. So I got to figure that part out. I also have cucumbers, and they do love sun, so they're doing really good and really happy. I also have this mystery plant I had growing in my backyard, and one of my kids just pulled it out of the soil, so I had to replant it in the bed, and I hope it's gonna make it. So I think it could be either a pumpkin or watermelon or one of those plants or zucchini, but I can't tell yet because the first few leaves could be anything. It's also my first year growing the sunflowers, and they are still young, so they're not very strong. The stalks are not really strong, so I have to tie them up and to those gardening sticks, so hopefully they can get strong enough where they can just stand on its own. But again, because we had that windstorm, a bunch of them were just leaning down, and because of that I had to tie them up and make sure that they will survive the storm. And finally, let's go check on our basil and see if we can water it. And this is like Wolfie's favorite spot. He likes to sit here in the sun and check on the garden, and he also likes to eat our pears. So once the pear season starts, you'll just see him sitting right there in that corner by the pear tree, and he's gonna try to get all these pears. Oh my goodness. Let's see if we can water those plants. Wolfie, what are you doing? What you doing? This one I planted some calendula flowers and basil. Wolfie wants pets. Wolfie wants pets. Wolfie likes pets. And it's amazing how huskies can lay on the sun, even though it's hot. It's amazing how they like to sunbathe in the summer. They like lay on the sun for hours and then they don't get hot. Their fur is really good at protecting them from heat or cold, right? Yes. Who's your good boy? Who's your good boy? This is really a jungle, and those tomatoes are doing great and they're growing really well. I have 2 determinate tomatoes that I'm not going to prune. It's the Viva Italia and the Oregon Spring tomatoes. The rest of them, they all need to be pruned and they all need to be tied up to the trellis that we built this year, because otherwise they're just starting to like fall on our fence and eventually it just goes crazy. So if you have indeterminate tomatoes, you have to prune them to get the bigger fruit and also to kind of control it. So our tomatoes grow up usually just as high as the tallest string that you see on the top. So I haven't done any pruning quite yet, so today is the day to get to it. And 2 things you need to be aware when you're working with tomatoes. Number 1, they will stain your clothes, so you do want to wear something dark or black or something you don't care about. And number 2, you are going to have your hands are going to be yellow or green, so you're definitely going to want to wear some gloves. When you work, you're going to need a string and the pruners, and that's pretty much it. So that's what we're going to do. And here we are at our tomatoes. So step number 1, before we even get to it, we're going to have to remove our little fence, and that should be relatively easy. All we need to do is to cut those zip ties off, and Wolfie's is helping. So we're going to cut it off, and there's a few more. Okay, I guess I have more on the bottom. And this really just to protect from huskies like getting into it. They really like to dig, and I don't know if they like tomatoes, but they definitely would eat all our broccolis if we let them. So that's why we use this fence. And so what we're going to do is we're going to, oh, there's one more. Actually, a few more here. And I was kind of thinking, what if I could just they don't like tomatoes, maybe I can just leave it off, but I don't know. I guess we have to try and see one here. Okay, so let's remove this. Move this fence removed, and we're going to use few tools today and gloves. And for this one, I usually use just the regular rubber gloves because garden gloves don't provide me as much as flexibility. They're great for weeding and stuff, but for this need, oh, here he goes. I told you, huskies are gonna wanna go in. I have two plants that I'm not gonna prune, and the Viva Italia and Oregon Spring is determinate, so you don't want to prune those because it will stand their growth. But the rest of them, you know, you can see that these are getting really bushy, so they're the one we need to prune and work on. We're going to start at the bottom, and you can even use your scissors to prune as well, or you can use one of these pruning shears as well, depending. Scissors do great because then you can just cut the threads the same way. I'm going to start at the bottom. If there's any dead leaves on the bottom or the leaves are touching the ground, you don't want to leave them because then they're going to get moldy from watering and then it's going to damage your plants. So I'm going to go down. You can see this leaf is not as happy anymore, and just going to make a pile of that. I'm going to another leaf here that I'm going to remove, and then we're going to go on and then we're going to find our first suckers. All the bottom leaves can be removed because we don't want them to get wet and pretty much damage our plants. So, and then here's Husky Finn. There likes to help. Finn likes to help with the garden by digging up holes and knocking my planters. But that's what they do. Okay, so here's the sucker. Then you're gonna cut it off. And yes, sometimes they will have flowers on them, and that's okay because you are going to give energy to the other tomatoes to make your fruit better. Now it seems like you're cutting a lot of plant, but it actually giving some room for the plants to breathe. And when you tie them up, you don't want to tie it really tight. You don't want to ruin the stems. You just tie it up loosely, and it'll be fine. Okay, let's see. And here we are, the next plant, and let's see what we can do. This tomato is lemon boy tomato, and I'm gonna make yellow little tomatoes, kind of like a grape. And here we are, and doing a lot of, this will have a lot of suckers. So we're gonna start at the bottom again. We remove all the leaves. And here's the big sucker. And I know how it feels. It feels, ouch. You're removing the big plant, big piece. But I promise you, if you do that, your plant will be all right. Because we're gonna try to preserve some of the energy from plants so it can grow into a fruit. Because you wanna actually have tomatoes, not just the stalks and the leaves or the small tomatoes. And the suckers usually grow between the leaf and the stem. Let me show you close up on those suckers. So here's the plant, and you can see in the middle the leaf and the stem. You got another runner growing. Those are called suckers, and ooh, it's windy. You don't want them because they will take the energy away from your plant and make it really crazy, and you might have smaller fruits. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your cutters or pruners, and you're going to snip it, and you don't need that. And it's also going to make the plant lighter. So you're going to have a lot of those. Some of them you can just pinch with your hands, and then you're going to tie them up to your trellis or whatever system you have so they grow up, and they're really going to grow up high. So this is also a runner. This is also a sucker, but it's really, really thick and really big. So you can actually keep one sucker on each plant if you want your plant to go more than one direction. So because this one is doing really good, I'm actually going to keep it. But you can see I removed all the bottom leaves because you don't want any of the leaves touching the ground, especially when you water the plants. You want to make sure that the leaves are not on the ground because they're going to get moldy and your plant's just going to get sick. Let me show you. When I was working on those tomatoes, let me show you what I found. Look at this. We have our first few tomatoes on the vine. Oh my goodness, that is so exciting. These are Juliet tomatoes. And here are tomatoes that I just finished pruning. You can see there is a lot of room for them to breathe. All the bottom leaves are gone, so then we can prevent the mold and disease. And we're gonna close the bed up, and we're gonna move on to our next garden task, is to see if we can prevent those salad leaves from bolting. So I have this old sheet that I'm not using, so I'm going to try to see if I can use it in the garden. So we're going to probably cut it in half because we don't need such a thick coverage. We just need a small. Place it over, and I'm going to go around and make a little cover just for the salads. And it's perfect because sunflowers still get plenty of sun, but this part is going to be, and it's light enough where it should be okay, and this part is going to be, let's see if I can fold it so the huskies don't pull on it. Yeah, so this one is, it looked like it worked, so we're going to keep it here. And hey Wolfie, leave it. Move it, Wolfie. And our tomato bed is closed in. We're going to water it. We covered our salads for the day. We'll have to come back and remove this later. And that is it for the garden episode. I hope you learned how to prune tomatoes, and let me know if you have any questions and comment them below, and I'd like to help and answer your questions. Thank you for joining our homestead life, and see you next time. Bye. Every single moment has led up to this one.